Traditional education is hailed as the sure way to getting wealth. I mean, you've got to go to school, go through college, go through university, over 20 years of school and training simply to get a degree. But is it really true? Must you really have a degree for you to be wealthy? Did you know that 30% of all billionaires in the world don't have a degree? What that means is that it's not only very possible, but it's actually quite common that people become really wealthy without a degree. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 17 ways in which you can become rich and make it without a university degree. So stick around right through to the very end. Now, before we go into the actual details of the different ways in which you need to get money, you need to understand the basic foundation for everything. And the foundation is knowledge. It's all about knowledge. The more knowledge you get, the better you are. Now, it had been taught earlier on that for you to get knowledge, you must go to school to get knowledge. Of course, it seemed like the most effective way and the most assured way of you acquiring knowledge. But right now, things have completely changed. The way life was in the 1800s and in the 1900s is very different from the way it is right now. Things have completely flipped around, and you just need to pay keen attention to acquiring knowledge. Currently, there's a lot of online platforms where you can get knowledge from. You can attend online courses, even just YouTube, plain YouTube with free information right here. The only difference is you probably need to pay a bit more attention to make sure that you understand where you're getting the knowledge from, because it can be quite difficult for you to separate the good information from the really terrible information. I mean, everything is placed outside, right for you to choose from. So simply from YouTube, you can learn and utilize a lot of skills. I personally have learned a lot of skills from YouTube that have made me a lot of money. I mean, that made me more money than my training as a medical doctor could ever have made me, simply from learning these skills from YouTube. So you can utilize them. I mean, sometimes it's even just books, you know, ebooks. You can download ebooks. I personally learned and practiced Spanish simply by downloading ebooks. Can you imagine? So it's all about lifelong learning. Understand that learning never stops. It's not like people who go to school and think that when they graduate with a degree, they have finished learning. No. For you to make it to the top, you just need to understand that learning never stops. So there's a few skills that you can acquire from the internet. I mean, there's a few examples I can give right here. Skills like computer programming, digital marketing, graphic designing, video editing. Graphic designing and video editing are skills that I personally learned from YouTube and from colleagues around without going to school, that I've personally utilized a lot in my life, and they have made me a lot of money. Skills like web development, data analysis, learning an extra language. A lot of these skills don't need you to go to school alone for you to actually learn them. Number one is entrepreneurship. So with entrepreneurship, you don't need to have had a degree for you to start a business. Yeah, all you need to do is be creative, identify where gaps are, things that people need, things that need to be utilized, and go and start a business that can solve that problem. I mean, look at the very best entrepreneurs all around the world. People like Steve Jobs, people like Mark Zuckerberg, they don't have a university degree. A lot of the richest entrepreneurs, even in your community, if you're from anywhere, just look around your community. You'll notice that a lot of the biggest entrepreneurs don't have a degree, they didn't go to school, they just started by hustling, they just started by utilizing their brains to identify opportunities, see the things that need to be filled. You see, the thing about entrepreneurship is all about filling a gap in your community. Something that needs to be availed and it's not available, whether it's a good, whether it is a skill. Sometimes people don't even know that they need something. And if you can think ahead of them, be creative, identify and see what they'll actually need, then you're on your way to making money. That's the beginning of your path to wealth. So entrepreneurship is one of the quickest and easiest ways of actually making money, because like I've said, all it requires is creativity. Number two is online business. Now, a lot of online businesses are present, and I've actually made a video about how to start online businesses and the different online businesses that you can make that can pay you even upwards of $10,000 a month. I'll leave a link to that video in the description so you can check it out. But what you need to understand is that with online businesses, because of the potential of scaling it to huge areas without actually being physically involved, you can make crazy amounts of money. I mean, things like YouTube, yeah? Look at how much money people make from YouTube. Look at people like Mr. Beast. Guys make crazy amounts of money from YouTube. Look at me, for example. I have another channel in addition to this channel. I have another channel called Farm Up, and over there I train people about farming and different things like that. And these channels have actually made me a substantial amount of money, and I never ever needed to have gone to school for me to be able to make money through such a platform. Anyone, as long as you have a camera, as long as you can communicate something that people require, whether you're present directly on the channel or not, can actually start a YouTube channel. I mean, people create YouTube channels when they are gaming. I mean, someone just sits on their computer, play video games, and they upload the videos on YouTube, and people watch them in the millions. Can you imagine? Yeah. So it doesn't require you to actually go to school and do any training for you to do, for example, a YouTube channel, for you to do any other form of online business, whether it's an ebook, whether it's to create an online class. You know, if you become a specialist in something, you can create an online class. I've seen a friend create an online business just selling patterns, I mean designs of something that she works on, whether it's designs of a cloth, you know, something that she never needed to go to school for, simply something that she's interested in. She makes a design of it, places it on websites online, and just like that it sells in millions. So all you require is create something that people are interested in on the internet, and you can make a lot of money, whether you went to school or not. Number 3 is investments. Meanwhile, it would be quite good for you to invest in my channel by hitting the subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Do it right now. Well, let's get on to the investments. So for anyone to do investments, there is no qualification. I mean, whether it is stocks, whether it is bonds, it doesn't matter what kind of investment, there's nothing like you require qualification. All you need to do is for you to be able to understand exactly what you're doing, because some of these things can be quite confusing. And sometimes if you pay too much attention and try to follow the trends so much, you can actually make mistakes. A lot of times, people who have no idea, for example, about stocks, get more money and make more money than people who try to study the markets. Because the thing with stocks and things like that is that generally over time the value of companies is going to rise over a long time. So if you just keep trying to study and you buy when the price is down, sell when the price goes up, it's quite difficult for you to time it. Very, very complicated. And all you require is time. I mean, just give it 4 or 5 years, it's going to generally rise. So someone who hasn't studied is more likely to buy, even if they are buying when the price is high. After 5 years, on average, the price is going to be higher than it is right now, than someone who is trying to time the markets. They're more likely to even make mistakes. So stocks, bonds, a lot of types of investments like mutual funds, anyone can do them, and you can actually become rich through them without going to school. Number 4 is talent in arts and entertainment. Now this is another one. Of course, talent has nothing to do with school. School can help you harness and sharpen your skills and talents, but generally you don't need to go to school or anything like that for you to become talented. I mean, look at the very best musicians. A lot of them didn't go to school. I mean, they just woke up, they dropped out of school because they wanted to perform, they loved performing. They'd go to the clubs or maybe from church, and then they would sing, and then just like that they are picked up by maybe a company that's looking for talent, and just like that they are hitting it big, they're getting really big. So for you to make it rich through these things, you don't need school. Look at the very best soccer players, the very best. You might say that, well, maybe they went through an academy. But look at some of them, for example, in Africa, where there's no football academies. They just go and play their soccer, play their football, and just like that, they're picked up by the greatest clubs, and they are being paid millions of dollars each and every year. Crazy amounts of money. So talents, as long as you practice them, work on them, put in effort, work on them each and every day, can actually make you a lot of money without going to school. You just need to harness the talent. Identify the talent as early as you can. Practice it, harness it. If it's guitar, play as often as you can. You don't need to go to school for you to play as often as you can. And then once you've practiced it, you've become good, people are going to pay for it. Number 5 is high demand skills, especially in the tech industry. You see, the tech industry is evolving so quickly. Super quickly, and because of that, there's a lot of things that are required. A lot of people that are required, and people who have the skills and the ability to actually do these things usually can earn huge amounts of money. What am I talking about? Things like coding in the tech industry, things like cybersecurity. I mean, cybersecurity is something really big these days in the world, because with all this technology coming up, there's always people who are looking to utilize the internet to hurt others, you know, to steal from others, to steal money, software, all other kinds of things. So the cybersecurity line of things is actually a very important one, and people who have understood how to do it well can actually earn huge bucks through this path. Things like data analysis. I mean, if you're doing anything on the internet, if you're doing business, you're doing social media, you need data. You need to utilize data and utilize it to make whatever you're doing better, whether it's a business, whether it's your social media platform. You need to utilize data to make sure that you're offering a better service. So data analysts are actually people who are very useful and can earn huge bucks. Number 6 is owning intellectual property. Now, intellectual property is usually things like patents and copyrights, yeah? So if you're an innovator, you're really innovative, you come up with something that hasn't been present before, you can patent it. What that means is that if anyone else then wants to use that form of technology or that form of invention that you've come up with, you will have to get a percentage of payment depending on whatever the patent agreement is. You need to get a percentage of the payment for them to utilize it. So this is really, really a crazy way. I mean, you just do something once. It doesn't matter whether you've gone to school or not, as long as you're creative. All it requires is innovativeness. And for you to be innovative, you don't need to go to school. Certainly, you don't need to go to school to be innovative. You just need to think of problems and find ways of solving them. And if you can solve them, whether you went to school or not, you can actually make money. Another thing is copyright. I mean, just look at things, even just music. For me to utilize music on this YouTube video, I need to make sure that I've paid for this music. The music is copyrighted. If I just get any random song, place it over here, it's going to get a copyright strike. And for the music to be copyrighted and I'm allowed to use it, that means that I have to pay a particular amount of money to whoever made the song. So just think about it. This person makes a song once and they are consistently getting money. Every time the song is downloaded or played, they are consistently making money. So this is a great way for you to make money without ever going to school. Number 7 is vocational skills. Whether it's being an electrician, whether it's being a plumber, a welder, a carpenter, these things can earn huge bucks currently. All you need to do is have the skill, and usually the skill is simply got from interacting with other people who have had this skill. You go work with them, work for them for a while, and they're going to pass over the skill onto you. Personally, recently I just did a few doors made for my dog kennels, and I went and I was looking at the prices that they were charging me, and I was like, whoa, this is really crazy. I mean, for such little work, I could personally, honestly do it myself. Of course, I just don't have the time. I was thinking, whoa, this is really crazy. So you don't need to go to school, for example, to become a welder, to do welding work. Totally not necessary, but you can earn huge bucks if your skills are good enough, very unique, and people are willing to pay for them. Number 8 is real estate. You don't need to have gone to school to do real estate. It's all about buying and selling houses. And if you understand, buy at a low price, sell at a high price, or buy the house at whatever price you bought it at and then rent it out. I mean, rent it out at really good prices and you're going to be making money. This doesn't require you to have gone to school or anything like that. All it requires is for you to understand how to do real estate. Register, make sure that you're registered real estate. I mean, for me, in my country where I am, the biggest percentage of people who actually do real estate didn't go to school at all. I mean, they're actually the guys who totally don't have an idea about how to speak English, but all they understand is how to do marketing, how to spread the word, how to, praise a particular house, how to identify the markets, yeah? That's all they need to do, and that's what they are perfected, and they're making huge money through the real estate business. So you don't need to go to school for you to make lots of money through real estate. Number 9 is through social and networking skills. Now, this is simply your ability to talk and make connections. That's all. As long as you understand how to talk, build relationships, and make connections, you can actually make a lot of money. It's through such skills that you get into contracts, that you win contracts. It's through such skills that you get into collaborations, that you get into partnerships with people who have a lot of money. As long as you can identify how to speak to people properly, make connections, and gain their trust, yeah, you'll get a job opportunity for something that you would never have gotten an opportunity for if you had to go through the classic way of, taking an application, write, get interviewed. No. you probably wouldn't get it that way. But if you have the skills to market yourself, to communicate properly, to communicate your value to other people, then you're going to get a lot of opportunities that are going to make you money. So having great social skills and relationship skills is actually another way that you can make a lot of money without going to school. Number 10 is sales skills. Yeah. Now sales skills can either be through direct sales or network marketing. I mean, I've seen people who are doing network marketing and they make crazy amounts of money. Of course, a lot of times they come off as scams or things like that. But they're actually ways that can be utilized to make a lot of money. Network marketing in itself is not a problem at all, as long as it's bringing in the money genuinely. The problem is if people then utilize it to scam other people. Yeah. So becoming a salesperson actually has nothing to do with education. Yeah, it's all about your ability, how to communicate the value of whatever you're selling, whatever you're trying to sell to the other person, and let them understand how useful it is to them for them to buy the thing from you. And also a lot of these skills are actually available on the internet. I mean, there's a lot of YouTube videos currently, so many YouTube videos about sales, about how to do sales, a lot of things. I don't think there is something that can be taught about sales that's not already on YouTube. I believe all the tricks have been told on YouTube. It's all about your ability to sieve them and identify them. So as long as you can develop your sales skills, then you're in for making huge bucks. Number 11 is financial literacy. You see, there's a lot of people who actually make a lot of money from their workplaces, but they're not rich. Yeah, they're not wealthy. Why? Because they have no financial knowledge. There is no financial literacy in their lives. They just go make the money, spend the money, go make the money, give it out, go make the money, save all the money, go make the money, and then they'll get into debt, and then they have to pay a lot of high interest debt. No, as long as you can learn a few things, yeah, understand financial literacy, understand what budgeting is, understand what saving is, understand what investing is, understand how to avoid debt. If you can understand some of these things, understand how to create a business, how to manage a business, how to manage other people in a business. If you can learn and utilize the thing, then you're 100% on the way for you to make money. You don't need to go to school for you to actually learn these skills. Like I've said, a lot of this information is available for free on the internet. I personally teach a lot of this information, so you can learn it even without going to school. So if you can get this information, learn it, integrate it into your personal life, then utilize it in your own life, you're 100% on the path to getting wealthy without ever going to school. 12 is writing books. Now, I know we've already talked about e-books being written on the internet, but a lot of people write books that are not only e-books. I mean, just identify the correct niche that suits you and that suits the target people that you want. A lot of people will write books about fantasies, dreams that they had, fantasies, sex. Think about all those things that people are interested in. They will write books about them, place them in libraries, place them on the internet, and they'll make huge money. What's even better is writing the book in a series. I mean, part 1, part 2, the way Harry Potter is, for example, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5, and people will just be hooked onto you, and they just feel like they need to read the next book and the next book and the next book and the next book. And just like that, you're bringing them in and getting as much money as possible. For you to write a book, you don't need to have gone to school. All you require is your imagination and your ability to communicate what you imagine. Of course, for you to communicate properly what you imagine, you must have developed good communication skills, understanding how to write, but that again doesn't require you to go to school. Yeah, you can learn a lot of those things again through the internet. 13 is personal branding. I mean, if you think about personal branding, think of people like the Kim Kardashians. If it's YouTube, think about Mr. Beast. Think about Cristiano Ronaldo for football. These are guys who have decided to push themselves far beyond what they are known for. I mean, Mr. Beast, for example, on YouTube, not only makes YouTube videos, but he has utilized his personal brand and fame to create products, lots of products. I think that day I was seeing he had made a hamburger line or something like that. Then he was making chocolates and sweets and things like that, all utilizing his name. Look at the Kim Kardashians and the Kardashian family. I don't follow that too much, but as much as I know, they have made loads of products. I think things like makeup, clothing lines, simply utilizing their fame, on social media, on a reality show. People like Ronaldo, he's a soccer player and everyone knows him as a soccer player, but then he'll utilize his fame to make underwear, to make a line of hotels that people are going to go to simply to utilize the fame of the person. So if you're famous, you've gotten some form of fame, it doesn't matter from where, you can utilize it to grow yourself. I mean, to create loads of products that people are going to buy into, and that way you're going to get really wealthy. Number 14 is mentorship. Now, mentorship is another perspective that doesn't require you to go to school. I personally do have mentors in the world of business, people who I look up to, people who I occasionally talk to get insights from. These are people who have gone ahead of you. I mean, a lot of them have been in the field for 5, 10 years, 20 years. They've had a lot of experience, and it is of so much value for me to learn such things without having to experience what exactly they have experienced. Yeah, so if you can get mentored by someone, go under someone's wings, utilize their time, their knowledge, their skills to get rubbed onto you, then you're going to leap ahead of your peers. Many times, a lot of them are going to school to get the very same knowledge that you're going to be getting from a mentor. Yeah, and sometimes even school will not give them that because it requires experience. So mentorship actually throws you steps ahead of your peers or other people who don't have mentors, yet you haven't gone to school. 15 is being an early employee or an investor in a successful startup. I mean, look at, for example, having invested in Facebook when it was still a startup, yeah, or having invested in Twitter when it was still a startup, or Tesla when no one knows about it, no one thinks it's going to work out. You invest in them when it's still early, or you start working there. Number one, you're going to rise through the ranks really quickly, whether you're educated or not. And number two, if you've invested, the value of the company is going to rise too much and you're going to become really wealthy in a short time. So what does this require? This requires you being very keen and paying a lot of attention on market trends. Yeah, understand what market trends look like, look out for possible startups consistently, and try to leap onto that you think will actually work out really well. The other option is actually you trying to make the startup yourself. Of course, that can be quite difficult, yeah, because everyone each and every day is trying to do a startup. But if you can get onto one really early that is starting to take off, then you have a very high chance of making it big, whether you went to school or not. 16 is public speaking. I mean, people love to be motivated. I know public speakers who are paid $10,000, $20,000 simply for an hour of speaking. Yeah. So if you've become an expert at something, you've learned something, you have a lot of knowledge about something, you can simply become a coveted public speaker, one who speaks well, one who communicates whatever you want to communicate properly and effectually. People get this knowledge, you'll earn huge bucks for it, place it into your pockets, whether you went to school or not. Actually, personally, I know a lot of public speakers. A lot of them can barely speak English. I mean, they struggle even when they are trying to pass across their English. It's wrong grammar, but they're making a lot of money because they just know what to speak. They just know how to tickle people, you know, how to stir people to get motivated, and that doesn't require you going to school. All that requires is great communication skills. And finally, number 17 is consulting. So if you've become a specialist at something, whether you went to school or not, there's a lot of people who are actually looking for the information that you have, the information that you can pass on. I, for example, personally, have become quite the expert in poultry farming, and currently I travel the world. I go different places simply to pass over farming information to people. I don't need to have gone to school. I didn't go to school to study any form of farming, but I have gotten this information, and currently I utilize my ability to have this information for me to make a lot of money from it. So how about you do that? I mean, don't just sit with the knowledge you have over there. A lot of people are actually coveting this knowledge. They want to utilize this knowledge, and this knowledge can make you rich if you can utilize it and find a way of getting people to pay for it through consulting. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, I made a video about how to make thousands of dollars simply using online businesses. I'll leave a link to that video right here. Check it out. I think you'll love it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Smash the notification bell. That way you never miss out on an upload. Lots of love. Bye-bye.